Hey, I got that delay going on here. I just, that timing worked pretty well. And here we are, back again. Just getting some things. Hang on one second. Okay, we're back. We're going through some learning, some training, some stuff and things. But we're on it. We're on it. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet where we answer your traffic and police questions for an hour. And yeah, often we get into things like dad jokes and whatever comes our way. So feel free to drop chats in the chat, drop messages in the chat, and depending on the platform you're on, you might have the ability to make life easy or less easy. We got John, who's getting slapped by legal. Who's I love the username. So if you come into YouTube or you come in through the Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, we get to see your comments and put them on screen. If you're coming by TikTok or Twitter, we can't. Now, TikTok, we can actually see you in the chat as you come in. Like on Really Julie, who just said good morning, but we can't throw it up on the screen. So that is something we're hoping becomes a reality at some point. But if you want to sort of make life easy and get your comments seen, kind of priority-like, come over to YouTube. You can get to us by going to trafficcop.ca, searching for Toronto Police Traffic Services or Traffic Services Toronto Police on YouTube. Wherever you want to find us, we're there. Now, Twitter, I got to say, is not something that allows chat to come through at all. We can't see anything you're saying. So if you're talking to yourself. But we do get a lot of people watch the replay later and watch live, but they don't ask questions. But you're missing out. If you come over, we'll be able to chat with you. And in addition to all of those great places, you can also join us via Volley. Now, Volley app is a free platform. At least it's free for you to use. It allows you to send us video, voice, or text messages. And we have a little community of 150 plus people who come in and chat with us all the time. So if you send us messages, we will see it. Michael just sent a message saying, "Top of the morning, Sean." Well, the rest of the date to you. And thanks to a different Mike who actually educated me as to what the appropriate response was, the formal response. Tim Shallow says, morning, Sean. Chase says, morning. Chase, is it the same Chase who decided to change your name? You're messing with me, man. Kayla says, greetings and salutations. And yeah, let's get into it. So I think we covered the fact that we get messages from a whole bunch of different places, and they all come into one place, except for the places where they don't. And that's okay. We make it all work. What do I want to do? There's a couple of things we're going to talk about. First off, we're going to deal with Vision Zero, because that's what we do. We start the show off with Vision Zero, and we can talk with all these great tweets that went out that I can cover. So first off, Vision Zero is the Vision Zero enforcement team. At least our component of Vision Zero is that of education and enforcement. Now, you may be wondering why the enforcement team gets grouped into this as a education component. See, I do the education. We talk to media, both. We do it by way of stand-ups and interviews. I go into TV shows and radio shows, and we talk about it there. We do social media outreach, but we also educate differently. See, the Vision Zero enforcement team goes out and educates through enforcement. You see, when all else fails and drivers still continue to drive in a behavior that is unacceptable, that is against the law, that puts lives at risk, they give them tickets. And hopefully that changes their outlook on things. Hopefully it encourages them to never break the law again, because they don't want that nasty email, or not nasty email, but nasty ticket. Because there's a lot that goes with it. Not only does it not feel great to be held accountable for the things that you choose to do, and it is a choice, but it also costs you money, not only for the ticket or defending it, or time, or the consequences against your license and insurance. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not a simple ticket and go away. Today, being that it is the 9th of March, we have Vision Zero enforcement officers in 23 Division and 41 Division. Those are Police divisions that service communities, neighborhoods like Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. And if you are contributing to a lack or lesser safety, well, shame on you, really. Tisk, tisk. Harley Raffle. We are involved and support the Special Olympics Ontario Harley Raffle. Our motor squad is carting a motorcycle that's going to be raffled away, and the funds raised from the sale of these tickets goes to Special Olympics Ontario. It's a fantastic organization. And let's see here. You have HarleyRaffle.ca, oddly enough, and they're going to be at the Motorama show this weekend, March 10th to 12th, at the International Center in Mississauga. So if you want to go meet some of our motor officers and buy a ticket, you can do it there, or you can just go online to HarleyRaffle.ca and get it done. I know somebody who's won. Well, I've met many people who have won because we've been doing this for a number of years. And yeah, it's awesome. I also want to bring some attention to the fact that if you are a cyclist or pedestrian in Toronto, you have a new choice, an alternate choice as to how you get your collision reported. See, if you're involved in a motor vehicle collision and you want to make a report and you're not, if that, for whatever reason, that report's not taken at the scene, you can go to a new location. It's new. It's been around for a little while now, but not everybody knows about it, and that's where I come in. I want to make sure that everybody knows about it. So what is it? See, there are two locations for collision reporting. One in the east, one in the north. And those are for vehicles, pedestrians, cyclists, everybody. But we have a special location right here in the building I'm currently sitting in. It's at 9 Hannah in Liberty Village. That's Traffic Services headquarters of sorts. And you can come here, but only if you are a pedestrian or cyclist. You can go online and start the report. And if you go to our Twitter account, Traffic Services, there's a link to that report. It's also available at trafficcop.ca. And you can start the report there and simply complete it when you come here. So that's something you may not have known. That is good to know. And then before we get to your questions, and I'm sure they're starting to come in a lot. Let me close my Twitter because I don't need to see Twitter anymore. I want to talk about the something we've been getting asked about a lot, and are we staying on TikTok? Well, I don't know. I hope that we are, but that's not up to me. So we are waiting to find out what the long-term plan will be. But in the meantime, we're here until we get direction otherwise. And if you want to ensure that we don't, well, lose connection, you can follow us on all of the platforms where we're at. And links to all those platforms are available right at trafficcop.ca. So if you remember trafficcop.ca, you'll always be able to find us. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Sergeant Campbell's joining us. Let me shimmy over. We were messing with camera angles to try and ensure that you can see more of us, or more accurately represent the physical. I don't know what we're saying here. I try and make up a new word every day. I'm just adjusting the angle for there, and now you has volume.
Apparently, I was too short.
There were complaints, and we didn't want to stretch you.
No, well, you know. I've already been stretched in one direction. Maybe the other direction would help.
You never know.
We are having a little bit of trouble with the moderator today, so I just ask everybody to take her nice and slow, and some of the questions may not come up right away. So,
was he able to get in, or still no?
He's in. He's just not able to grab the questions and put it on.
Okay.
So we may have to look over there.
We'll look over here.
Yeah,
there is an alternative. You can also go and visit us on trafficcop.ca, and there you will find links to our other platforms. So if you really want to ask a question, maybe the easiest thing to do to give the easiest transition today with our new moderator is, if you want to ask some questions, maybe jump over to the other platform. You can try in the chat, but if it doesn't work, then you can certainly get us on our other platforms like YouTube, which is probably the best, YouTube and Twitch, or Facebook for that matter. But you can also come in and ask questions on Volley, and here's a great example of how that works. Chase has a question that I actually have to turn the volume up for you to hear. Hold on a second. Is it this dial? I think it's this dial. No, it's this dial, which I put on mute. There we go. No, I went all fancy. High tech. I muted it earlier.
Am I allowed to have a power winch on the front of my truck? And can I use it to help people who are stuck on the side of the road?
Oh, I'm not hearing him. You are.
I heard him.
I didn't hear it.
So he asked, is he allowed to have a power winch on the front of his truck? And can he use it to help people on the side of the road?
Am I allowed to have a...
I hear it now. Okay, so, well, since you heard it and I didn't, is there an answer that you have for him?
Yeah, you are allowed to put a power winch on the front of your truck. I would caution them to make sure that it is installed correctly, because when you put tension on your power winch, it comes unattached very, very quickly, it may fly off and damage your car, damage the other car, or hurt somebody. So you are able to help people should you choose to. Just remember that if you cause some damage, they may be a little upset with you, and you could be held liable for it. You are not able to charge any money for it, though, because that would be a business, and you would need a business license to do that. So if you're being a good Samaritan and you're out somewhere where no one else can get to, that's great. Just make sure you know what you're doing, and make sure you do it without damaging the vehicle if you can.
Yeah, damaging vehicle bad.
Yes.
And of course, and you've already covered it all, that making sure you're doing it the right way. I'm running a second phone just so I can see messages here. I've got, so we just as you were approached, we've just been talking about isn't TikTok banned from government services? And it was federally banned. It's not yet affecting us. We don't know what the future is, and that's why we're encouraging people to follow us everywhere so that we can stay in touch, because we want to be able to in the event that we do get told we have to be off, we'd like to stay in touch. But we've done some things to try and prevent that from being an issue.
Yeah, we worked around in the background to try and maybe make it one step removed so that we don't actually have to have TikTok installed on our devices. And I believe that is the security concern that the federal government is talking about, is the actual installation and access to that device. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We have no direction as of yet. So
Absolutely.
and we like TikTok. So
We do. I do. They call me the TikTok traffic cop. I got to change my name if they get rid of it.
well, yeah.
I don't
Who
want
would
to
you
be the YouTube traffic cop. I don't like that. Doesn't sound good.
The police officer once formerly known as.
That could work.
Yeah.
I could be like Prince. Michael was watching Badge Duty's live stream, and he had a question about why police are allowed to use phone and laptop, and they're not. I think that's. I'm going to paraphrase, but that's essentially the question. Why are police permitted to use communication equipment and when civilians aren't allowed? And it's a reasonable question, because we acknowledge that is something that is less safe than focusing on driving.
Absolutely.
But the answer is that it's something that we are required to do and permitted to do in the lawful execution of our duties. It includes the two-way handheld radio, whether it be a remote microphone or holding the radio itself. That's one element of it. But we are often getting information that is specifically related to public or officer safety. And if we can't get that information, that could put us into a bigger situation.
Yep. And we need to receive it in real time. And that goes for not only us, but fire, ambulance as well. Now, fire and ambulance, they have the benefit of having multiple people in the vehicle at the same time, which makes it a little bit safer, so the driver can concentrate on driving, the passenger can communicate and be the eyes and the ears and transferring that information along. Police officers, unfortunately, not all the time have that ability, but wouldn't you want us to know everything that's going on in your house if you're calling for help?
Absolutely.
When we get there, so we don't we know what we're dealing with. So
Yeah, and there is something to be said for being the only people who are increasing the risk a little bit. If everybody else is doing the right thing and we're the only ones that are using the devices, it's not perfect, but it's much better than everybody
Absolutely.
using the devices. So it's an acceptable amount of risk as opposed to everyone doing the wrong thing.
And to be truthfully honest, we are held to a higher standard in our operating of vehicles, and we don't take that lightly. So when we're doing that, we're also trying our hardest all the time to drive safely.
I'm sorry to laugh, but John getting slapped by legal says short kings for life. So this was based on the discussion about being higher, lower.
Short kings?
Yeah. I'm 6'5",
And I'm not.
so we're trying to balance things out based on all sorts of seating positions. It's and I'm closer to the camera, farther from the camera. We're tilting the camera. We're doing things, but I love that. Chase says good morning from Sam and Chase, watching from Waterloo region. And
Good morning.
Good morning. And Chase is a regular on the show, a regular contributing guest participant. You're so many things. You're a friend to the show. Leo wife is in the chat on YouTube. Thank you so much. My wife is watching and also helping by bringing some questions forward. And Mark asks, and I imagine this is on TikTok, some districts or provinces are some districts or provinces known to give out more tickets or enforce the laws more strictly? You know what? It's some officers may be more strict than others, but I don't know if there's an division area of province that's just known for doing more. I think we're all pretty even keeled when it comes to it.
Yep, and it all depends on how many officers are out there and what the calls for service are like at any given time. We are Toronto Police. We have a dedicated traffic unit. The OPP in certain regions has a dedicated traffic unit. Mm-hmm. Other services do as well, and they would be out there directly enforcing traffic all the time. Where some services they do everything. Yeah. They do everything all in one. So if they're busy doing something else, then they can't be doing two things at once.
Did you see that? Not really on topic, but it just. For some reason, you said other regions, and I recognize that I commented on a tweet this morning. York Regional Police has a new helicopter.
Oh.
Like new, brand spanking. I volunteered to help occupy a seat if they needed to fill it.
And they take you up on that?
They did not respond.
No?
It's Twitter.
And you know what? Toronto Police, yeah, we don't even have their used one.
Apparently their last one was 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
Which is right around the time that we had the sample or the test flights. We had a couple of helicopters that there was a donation opportunity. They said no. I think that's how that York got their chopper, I think, originally. And then we tested one. They had it didn't stay.
Yeah, they're expensive to operate.
Very.
They're expensive to maintain. I do remember that people didn't like the sound of it up in the air. And you know what? I kind of think in the other way around. If the helicopter is above my house because something's going on in the vicinity of my house, I'd rather listen to that than have bad people around and listening to gunshots and things like that.
Yeah, so. Catching bad guys is a good thing. But we rent helicopter space or time. If we need to use it, we call York or Durham, and we can have access to it without actually having it.
Yep.
That really reduces the amount of times that I get to go on a helicopter to zero, to zilch. Okay, so we got a bunch of good mornings. Thank you to everybody on TikTok for those. Somebody wants to know how to get Toronto Police to clean all the cars. Do you mean clean all the cars of snow, or do we have actually dirty cars? I don't know what's going on. But
clean our police cars?
I don't know. There's no context here. I'm just reading the specific or the verbatim.
Michaela Draconis has a suggestion for your new title.
Twitch Talk Traffic Cop has a decent ring to it. That's not a killer. That is Big Jeff Fresh.
No, if you go one above there.
Elbow cough. Oh, Cupcake Traffic Cop.
Sorry, I found that funny.
I didn't. I only saw elbow cough, and I thought, yeah. So you may have seen the video where I had an animated cupcake deliver news that I wasn't going to be on the air that day. But yeah, I don't know about Cupcake Traffic Cop, but I do appreciate the humor there. I do like cupcakes. Is there an HTA number for transports having sheets of ice flying off their trailer on their highway? Did you see the video on TikTok? I don't know if it's elsewhere. There was what looked like a Toronto police car there, pulled over a cube truck that had a person sitting atop it cleaning off the snow.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe it was, here's your ticket, and you're not driving away until it's clean.
Because it's unsafe. And there was a big discussion as to whether or not it was illegal not to have cleared the snow. And there were both truckers involved in the conversation. It was a lot of discussion. So if you have a load of snow, and I say load because you are choosing to transport, whether you put it there or not, you're choosing to transport snow, which has the potential of causing damage and injury and potential collision. Like there's so
would that
many
be
issues.
Transport unsafe load?
I was going to say insecure load.
Insecure?
I don't know about unsafe.
Yeah, insecure.
Unless it was explosive snow.
What happens if you strap your snow down?
Well, I think then you'd be with rated straps, of course.
Well, of course.
How does one secure snow appropriately? But if you had a trailer and you filled it with snow, you'd be transporting a load. Just because you didn't put it there doesn't make it less of a load.
Absolutely.
I believe. Yeah, we can go down. I like this particular rabbit hole because I was called out by somebody years ago when I talked about this. And they said, that's not a law. Like, but not every law is a law. Some things are interpretations of existing laws that are absolutely valid, even though they're not letter appropriate. Somebody suggested that we did a Twitter post yesterday, and it was of a big rig, a bobtail. I was corrected. It's not a tractor, semi-tractor. They said it's a bobtail. It's a tractor without a trailer is a bobtail.
Well, that's bobtailing. Would be when there's no load on the back end, and it's called bobtail because the lighter back end causes it to.
That's what he said.
To bounce.
But
it is a tractor.
It is. So what does semi stand for?
A tractor trailer.
These names. So what's the story is some people were really upset about the concept of a tractor trailer driver, or tractor driver with bobtailer.
Yep.
A trailer bob. I don't know. They were upset that this person was charged for stunt driving for only accelerating into an intersection before opposing traffic had an opportunity to respond.
Yeah, that is stunt driving. How about if your light went green and somebody decided to make a left turn in front of you? Right, and you had to jam on your brakes.
That's not safe.
Well, if somebody decided to do a U-turn at the same time, what do? You slam on your brakes. It's unsafe.
They thought maybe just an unsafe turn would be a more appropriate charge. But an unsafe turn, which it is one component of it, but there was so much more in that. So It is interesting conversation. I appreciate when people comment and engage with us because it creates that interesting conversation. So it's cool, man. What do we have here? Picture this. I'll put it on screen. Picture this. The road is dry. The sun is out. Everything is pointing towards a great day for a car wash. Then it starts snowing while I'm in line for the car wash. When I'm done, the roads are wet.
Been there. Felt that pain.
That is less fun than it could be. Yeah. I'm looking forward to spring. I know you've been enjoying the snow because you have many, 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 many hobbies that involve snow.
Well, I have one hobby that involves snow.
I thought you like shoveling driveways and stuff.
Well, I do have a snowblower, and I become the most favorite person in the neighborhood when I get the snowblower out after it snowed. But yeah, just one hobby in the wintertime, many in the summer.
I now understand the context of the car wash comment.
Oh.
DuPont Auto Spa wants to know how they can contact TPS to clean vehicles. I assume they want to bid on a contract to do that, I'm guessing. You would talk to, I guess, I don't know who you talk to. 808-7000?
Our procurement department.
There's a process.
Yep.
There's a process. And I know there were some changes recently to authorized washes because we do have people who wash us. Who wash us? They wash our vehicles?
Wash our vehicles?
Yes, they don't wash us. That would be weird. But but you can't. It's going to be one of those days.
Oh, boy.
We haven't even hit dad joke time. But yeah, contact the 808-2222, which is our non-emergency line. You may be able to find it from our website, www.tps.ca. And since I opened that can of worms, it's not really a can of worms. It's just a website. tps.ca/careers. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, if you would like to become a police officer, a special constable, a parking enforcement officer, a civilian with magical powers to do accounting or computer-y stuff, we have all sorts of opportunities, different career paths, different jobs within a service with opportunities everywhere.
Mechanics, service persons, tow truck drivers, storage keepers, everything, absolutely everything.
We have many, many, many. We're like a little city. We have so many different things that need to be done. And only you can help by applying. What do we have here? Michael says we shouldn't ban TikTok. Cool. If he was chief, he would allow, he says he would, just Sean, he says, it's, as long as Sean has access. Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence. Michael goes on to say that we need a live with me in a police helicopter. I vote for Michael. You make
too.
those decisions. He suggests that yards for parking commercial motor vehicles and MTO inspection stations should have a large roller brush over a lane to help clear snow. I've seen those devices. There are devices that exist.
I have heard of it. The problem is there's so many different heights of trailers. There's maximums. There's flatbeds. There's everything. It is the driver's responsibility to do it. It is tough when you have a big trailer to get up to the top of it. I understand it. I get it. Not impossible.
Yes. Here's a question. Here's a message from John Woodstruck.
Am I allowed to have a power winch on the front of my truck?
No, it's not John Woodstruck's message. This is John Woodstruck's message.
Morning, Sean. OPP did a post this morning about cracking down on left lane campers, and so I looked it up on Shield Basic and was surprised to see that there actually is a charge for failing to stay right when not going the normal speed of traffic.
Yes.
That is correct. What's the normal speed of traffic? Is it the legal speed?
Well, that's
Or is it the normal speed?
That's a really big question that's left for interpretation. And I would propose that a law cannot supersede another law, in that you can't say normal speed is 130 because people are choosing to break the law, and then it supports that everybody else has to move over. I don't see that as an acceptable direction. So
I, on the other hand,
do.
I might see it a little bit differently.
And this is the great thing. We get to have these conversations on a regular basis. And I really think it has to go up to some legal beagle to come up with an answer on that. But I don't understand how we could say you can't speed for any reason unless everybody else is speeding, because that's essentially what it says.
Well, it doesn't say anything about speed. It says
Actually, you're very right.
Where your lane position should be and what lane you should be in.
You are correct.
But it does have to do with the speed of the vehicle, the velocity of the vehicle, and what is normal, what is not normal. I totally agree with you as well, though. There's two offenses if you're in the left lane and if the other people are speeding.
Now, unnecessary slow driving, I totally get. If you're in the left lane and you're going below, I think they say normal speed as well, but in that case, it's very clearly to me less than the speed limit, causing an issue, then I think that's a very applicable charge. And I would sooner lay that than the other. But that, this is where, fortunately, we're not the 400 series police generally. I mean, we do go there, we do lay charges, we do investigate things on occasion when we assist the OPP or happen to be there. But they police their stuff, and and I don't police anything. I sit here on TikTok, but only because I'm not on the road. But yeah. John says, "How does one strap snow properly? Very carefully."
Well, it would have to be flake by flake.
Flake by flake. That would be, if you were truly securing it as on the individual level. That is an undertaking. Okay. Alan Strang says, more of these are needed. Unfortunately, you've given me a link to YouTube, which I can't watch right now. So I don't know. You'd have to actually give me the play-by-play as to what you're asking me to look at. Trevor wants to know, is it illegal to have snow covering your license plate? Yeah. If you obstruct your license plate, whether it be snow, dirt, bike rack. I was very impressed. I was driving home yesterday and I saw a bike rack that had the license plate relocated to the bike rack. It was the ultimate bike rack. It's exactly what you're supposed to do. And this person actually did it.
Wow.
So I almost, if I would have had lights and sirens, I would have pulled them over to shake their hand, because it's the first time I've ever seen it in Ontario.
And just thinking about it, that's great, but do they have a license plate light also attached to it?
I didn't notice that. I was too busy being happy. But it's true. If it was not illuminated, they would be setting themselves up for failure. But I think this was a full-on rig with I assume it with the trailer connection. I'm making assumptions here. I'm going to their defense, and I don't even know.
Yep. You only need a light when
at night.
At nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hitch-mounted carrier that goes on the rear of my vehicle. It doesn't hang out far enough that it needs lights on it at all. It just needs a reflector on it. And I had to relocate my license plate on one of my vehicles for it to be able to see properly.
It's true. Ryan Pinn said he wanted to know if there were any jobs for him working for TPS while living in Nova Scotia.
Oh, you know what? If that were true, I'd be doing that right now.
Yeah, you're ready to. You're 1 foot in Nova Scotia.
Well, New Brunswick.
New Brunswick. That's close. It started with an N.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look at what's going on here. We have. Oh, there's a bunch of chat. I mean, missing out on a bunch of chat. If you're watching and you don't know who we are, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. And on my left is
Sergeant Murray Campbell. I am a traffic sergeant at Traffic Services. I do a bunch of jobs here as well, part of which is media relations. That's why I get to sit here with you. And
it's good to have you, because it's nice to have. So we don't know everything individually, but we know a lot, and together we know more. And then we disagree on stuff, which is actually hilarious because it's always interesting to find out who's right. And sometimes it's me, and sometimes it's a Sarge, and sometimes it's neither of us.
And right up here, there's a board.
Yes.
And there's 2 names on it, and then there's a couple marks for when one of us is right and the other one is wrong.
It ticks back and forth. We're never really far apart. There's never really a spread.
No, although there is a spread right now. There's a difference of 1 right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll even it out soon. We have a good morning from Gabivian. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Gabiev. I don't know. I'm going to mess it up. I'm just going to stop messing it up. Good morning from Atlantic Canada. Good morning to you. Hello from Stratford. We have, what do we have here? We have hello officers from Sharma. Okay. I have an honest question coming from Survivalist 403. I am from Ontario and I live in Alberta, and I have an honest question. But the question wasn't asked, so you have to come back with the actual honest. Oh, wait. Here we go.
You know what, Sean? An honest question is probably better than a dishonest question.
This is true.
Yeah.
So they've got multiple situations running positive and negative with law enforcement. One of your officers here in Alberta rear-ended me at a red light and took away their career. Well, first of all, not our officers, because our officers here in Toronto, unless they were traveling in Alberta, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, allegedly texting and driving on the way home off duty. And as a result, he lost an excellent job and seen to court. So what is the question part? It's unfortunately we have a very small text cap, and it's just updated. And I lost you. Where is it? So I'm sorry to hear that you were injured. First of all, collisions are terrible, regardless of how they occurred. I don't know how you determined that they were on their phone. I'm not defending them, of course, but I don't know how you determined that. But collisions are terrible. And someone said this strictly. Oh. Now you're alleging that this is a PR group to develop relationships with the community. No, this is an education forum. So it's not about it. Relationships are part of it, but really it's there to educate and answer questions. So I again, sorry to hear that you were in a collision. I don't know where the question is though. So I'm going to move on. Let's see here. Ice flying off trailers recovered. Dirty cars is not a question. It's a statement. If you don't mind putting a Q in front of your question, so I actually know what the question is. Are headlights with black background illegal? A black background? Headlights with a black background. I don't exactly know what that means. Like without a reflector, if behind the headlight bulb, if it was black instead of reflective, that would change the beam.
A projector beam doesn't have a visible reflective beam or reflective surface on it. The projector beam takes the light coming out of the bulb, and then it uses optics to focus it forward. So you'd have to explain a little bit more. So if you change your headlights and you go from a regular halogen with a reflector to a projector or an HID, you could have a black background. But it all depends. All depends.
But my suggestion would be not modifying headlight systems from manufacturer. I just don't think it's a good idea. I understand customizing, making things look cool is cool. However, headlights are pretty important to safety, and if you start messing around with things, you open a sealed unit, you may change the way that the headlight functions, and you may run into problems. But that's just me.
Yep, there are legal upgrades though. You can go from a halogen to an LED as long as it's made for it and it's approved.
I would strongly suggest, though, not buying certain things from certain places aftermarket that are not meeting standards. I've heard horror stories about people putting in low-cost LEDs, things that are ordered online, and then either destroying their vehicle's electrical system or having major heating problems because they're drawing different levels of power, or the device failing and desoldering. I've heard all sorts of terrible things. Be very careful when it comes to headlights and taillights. They're kind of important.
Yep. Little things too, interior lights. Mm-hmm. I changed the interior of one of my vehicle's lights over to an LED. I did use the cheaper brand, and it affected my remote. So when the lights were on, they put out a frequency that I couldn't double lock my car and make the alarm activated.
That's weird.
It's bizarre. I changed them back. They work fine.
I wonder if that was because there was that's weird. Like if it was not a radio frequency, but an optical sensor. I don't know. That's very interesting. What do we have here? Got so many things. I got a ticket on expired car permit Car permit, is it resolve-able? If you got a ticket for having an expired plate, this is a great way to segue to this, how to renew. But you can pay it, or you can choose to dispute it. But I don't know what evidence you would bring about disputing it, because you either did it or you didn't do it. And it is free to renew for most vehicles, not snowmobiles. But you have to do it online. There is a link that I put on my link tree, which is available at trafficcop.ca. And there you can go and click a button and renew. It's instant, online, easy to do, no cost for most people. And if your vehicle is under 3,000 kilos, motorcycles are included. What I'm getting at is, I don't know how you defend that. Are you eligible to go to court and defend it? Sure, you can, but I don't know what evidence you would bring.
And Sean, just an aside to that is, there could be two charges, one for expired license plates and the other one would be for expired permit. Two separate charges under the same section. You could end up with a $220 ticket as opposed to $110.
Definitely not something you'd want to aim for, but yes. What is this? We talked about TPS/careers. If you are watching and you don't currently follow us, please do. Please jump in and follow. And if you're on TikTok, tap that screen because it shows you like us. And for some reason, it does things to TikTok.
So, Sean, just a question up here I was reading.
Which was that?
That one, yeah.
Market Manager Mike says, if you're from Nova Scotia and you're in Ontario with only one plate on your car, are you breaking the law? We've had some interesting conversations about that.
Technically, yes. But common sense probably will prevail. The police officer would know that there's only one plate ever issued for your car. Unless you're like New Brunswick, where I found out you have the option to pay for a second plate and you can put two in your car. And it would be legal right across Ontario and rest of Canada.
I don't know. I don't know if how that works. But I agree that the law is written saying fail to display two plates. So if you're going based on that, I don't know if I've never read the OREG to say if you're issued two plates. I don't know if it exists.
I don't believe it is, but I can tell you that I don't think I've ever heard of anybody getting a ticket for it because common sense would say that it's not possible for you to do it.
Nicholas says, good morning from Bracebridge. I wanted to know, with snow on plate conversation, how the new automatic or automated plate readers would work. Is that now an obscuring plate charge? So actually, it's always
would be anyways.
It would be regardless of automatic plate readers. And there's an article coming out discussing that, just because I was interviewed for it, and I assume it's going to be published in the Toronto Star. And they were discussing that very topic about automatic plate readers and saying, so keep a lookout if you read the Star, that is there. Supercar Brownie says, my favorite live. Well, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay, what are we talking about here? Can I make TikToks outside a police division asking for a friend? There is no law, if you're in public view, to record, photograph, anything like that. I see all these people who go and stand in front of police divisions in the States and get questioned, and they're auditing, and they get into these big arguments. But I don't think you're going to find anybody in Toronto giving you a hard time about filming a police station, because if you're on public property, there's no reasonable prospect or expectation of privacy even as a police officer out in the street. There's no law that says you can't. In fact, generally speaking, we're recording as well because we have body cams and dash cams. So, yeah, I don't think you're in a situation there. Let's see here. We talked about that. Okay. Are DoorDash, Uber, Skip, and Postal drivers allowed to park near or on bike lanes? Fantastic question. I'm looking through my setup to see if
nope, she's not here.
She's not there. But the answer is it's an unequivocal no. Parking is not permitted. There is no exemption for people who are trying to make a buck or going on a short delivery. You cannot park in a bike lane. It's just that they're designed for safety of cyclists, vulnerable road users, not a place for you to stop your car. There are places where you can stop and park legally, especially if you're a delivery driver, like on a side street. You can't do main streets, but on a side street with a sign, a placard saying on delivery, and then you get a 15-minute window. But that does not apply in places where main streets occur. Like you can't do that on Yonge Street. It's a major thoroughfare. You cannot do that.
I didn't know there was an exemption there.
I was educated from the guru herself.
Wow.
And now, that being said, that doesn't give you bike. Like I said it already, but it really doesn't give you bike lane. And there is and I didn't know about this. You can, if there are people who can stop in a bike lane to drop off. Like if you had a permit, an accessible permit, there's a couple of exemptions where you can, which is actually something I would have thought would not be possible. But it makes sense. If you're dropping somebody with accessibility issues, then it makes sense to get them to the closest curb and make it most possible. I also learned that I believe taxis have the same thing. But I don't know for certain. We're going to have to get Aaron to talk about the fine details of that, the minutia.
Maybe tomorrow we'll get Aaron on the show.
We can certainly try.
I won't be here, though.
You will not.
I will not.
Will you be
Yeah.
playing with snow toys?
Yeah.
But let's talk about DoorDash and Uber and Skip and postal drivers for a second. Although this is not a really postal driver thing. There is a belief, a couple of beliefs that seem to be coming up regularly. One, that there's an exemption allowing them to use their cell phones to accept Uber and Lyft orders. There is none. So if you're an Uber driver and you are touching your phone, you can expect to get a $615 fine or a ticket in any case, which has a whole bunch of consequences if you're caught doing that. There's no exemption. You have to be legally parked off the roadway or at very least in a legal parking spot where you'd be capable of leaving your vehicle without it getting a ticket. Because if you're in a no stopping zone, you're eligible for a handheld communication device.
Yeah.
Hey. Logan Grant, I saw you sent me a text message, and I just realized that you were saying that you were watching on. Let's see here. You got mad and say, where's my mouse? Here's my mouse. So a question from Logan, who guested with us, I think, last Friday. When are we going live again? We should do that soon. You pull someone over for speeding, they get mad and say, I want to see your radar. Are you legally obligated to show them? No. Very often I will show them because I've got it on me. If I'm doing standing radar or LiDAR and I have a sling, if it's on me, I am happy to show. If it's moving radar where it's in my vehicle, we're not getting out of the car and having you walk on the highway to come over and stare into my vehicle. Just not happening. And there is no legal requirement. It's just me being nice if I were to show it to you.
Yeah, I totally agree. The offense of speeding is speeding. The only time that we would use a radar is to determine the amount of the fine.
And that's really what it's for.
Yeah.
If people say, well, one second, that doesn't make a lot of sense. What's the proof? Well, this really got people going because the proof, the evidence, that's what they want to know. They want to see evidence in court. Well, the evidence is my testimony. I give my evidence. Whether the court chooses to accept my evidence is on the court's side. I write down what I see. I make my notes. I submit evidence in the way of testimony in chief, and that is the game. And that's all that's required.
Right, and you're going to do that under oath in court. And you know what? Your reputation in court is much, much, much more valuable than to ever lie for something like that. Something little. Why would you ever even...
Why? I would choose not to lie about anything. But when people suggest that we're going to lie to get a conviction on a 15-kilometer and over speed limit situation, what benefit would I get? Why? What would be the incentive for me to lie? I don't have quotas. They don't care if there's nobody checking my conviction rate. There's no win. There's just no benefit. No one's paying me $1 million to get you convicted on that ticket. I haven't even received a toaster.
No, really? Oh, you haven't made policeman of the month then.
How many toasters do you have? Oh my. Okay. My wife is saying we should go to Nova Scotia. She's ready. And John is offering to be our tour guide.
There you go.
Okay.
I think you're going.
I'm very possible. Apparently, I need to get an RV. There's all sorts of things that come into play here. Chris asks, we talked about that. Stand by. Stephen Bell. Can keep your insurance and ownership in your wallet. That's an answer to somebody else's question, no doubt. Here's a question. Here we go. And a very good and valid question. Very, very topical. I like topical questions. They're all topical. They have a topic. But Promo Guy says, hi, I'm new here in Canada. Can I use my driver's license from my country staying here for 3 weeks?
It depends.
It depends. You say you're new here. If you're visiting as a visitor, generally speaking, yes, you can. You can use a vehicle for up to 3 months without, is that 3 months? Without a international driving permit? Or is that 6 months? I'm getting all confused.
international driving permit is only a translation card. Your driver's license has to be accepted here in Canada, so you have to check that out first.
But oddly enough, an international driving permit is required to take you over the hump, because a visitor can use their as a visitor a license for up to a year if they're not a resident. But it's only if they have the international driving permit, oddly enough, issued from their own country. So there's a couple of layers. But I gotta tell you that there is an answer to your question. And if you go to trafficcop.ca, I have a link to a webpage put out by the government of Canada that has all the individual provinces referenced. So you can get answers about driving in all of them. So that's the best source, because for whatever reason, that piece, that nugget of information that it would normally roll off my tongue is missing right now. It has been filed incorrectly, and I don't know where it is.
And you know what? If you're moving here, your driver's license and your license plate on your car both have to be changed at different times. So check into that as well.
Yeah, and that part I do remember. If you become a resident, so as soon as your status is that you've got a place, you're staying here, you're in the process of being a permanent resident, you are now caught within 30 days. You have to change your vehicle ownership to reflect an Ontario plate. That's 30 days to register it here, and that's if you are moving for another province or another country. Doesn't matter. That vehicle is required to be registered within 30 days, or at least transferred, and then your driver's license, you have 60 days to change it, and I think it's 90 days for visiting. I got to look it up, and it's not happening right now. So, but I really appreciate you checking in. Really would suggest trafficcop.ca. Link tree at the bottom is useful links, and that is one of the links. So. Can you keep your insurance and your ownership in your wallet? Absolutely. In fact, that's exactly where mine exists, because I don't want to leave it in my car, or in the event that it's broken into and somebody has not only my ownership document to potentially try and pretend that I sold it to them and fill it out and sign it and transfer it. That's one. I don't want them to know where I live, because all that information is on there. So I would 100% endorse the whole carrying it with you. Of course, then you have a problem if you leave your wallet at home, and then you have a threefer, because you have no license, no ownership, no insurance, and that's how much is that? $270 in fines? No,
65, 110, 110.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is that?
65, 110, 110. Do the math. Put your shoes off.
Start counting toes. Yeah, it's a lot. So you got the 220 and you got the 65. So you got a lot. 185? 285?
Yep.
Yeah. Didn't think about that. And the more I talked about it, the more I started to confuse myself. Okay, apparently math and speaking simultaneously bad. What is this? How long? There's the question. And it says it's coming in from VoiceOver Cop, but I don't know why it does this. VoiceOver Cop is not, that's me. It's not them. How long do you have to change your plates if you're living in Canada now and from the U.S.? We just talked about that. 30 days for the plates, 60 days for your driver's license. And see,
our new monitor is probably
no,
as you.
I don't think it's that. But it's it's the same question. The question came in. Yes, actually it is. The question came in from the moderator, but then it got duplicated because it says it's coming from traffic services too. And then it also says it's coming from the host. We're really getting the question. It's a thing. I guess evidence you could bring would be in the police officer. What is this? I guess the only evidence you could bring would be in the police officer did not write down the expiry. I guess it may be positive. I don't know where we're going with that. Okay. Can you talk about the automated license plate readers coming into use here in Ontario? Does TPS have them yet? Are they accurate? Lots of talk on TT about that. We've been using them for a long time, looking for stolen vehicles parked on the roads. It was part of a project called Street Sweeper. We had two of them. I think they've been running around 20 years, like a long time.
Yep, a long time.
The technology's come a long way since then, but those had two giant readers on them, and they've been deployed in the States forever. So they do work. They do work really, really well. And I have seen tests going to like Blue Line trade shows, seeing different manufacturers sample or show. So day, night, rain, like they are phenomenally good at reading this information. Do they? If they don't, the thing is that they don't actually cause you to get a ticket. They alert the officer that something needs to be done. So if it comes up and says you're expired, the officer still goes and investigates. You don't just get a ticket. So it's not automated enforcement. It's just a tool for reading information, and then we still have to investigate. So it's not something that could result in a use of power or whatever. It's not something where we're going to start putting people in jail because the license plate reader did something. It alerts the officer. The officer then has to do their own investigation.
Yeah, and like you said, we've been doing this for quite a while. We only have changed because we got newer technology that is now able to search multiple databases in a quicker time and give us alerts, as opposed to just checking the one CPIC to find stolen vehicles. So
yeah, it's looking for insurance information. It's looking for wanted persons. It's so many things, and I think it's going to create a lot of good results. Carrie Schmidt was demonstrating, like in 30 minutes at the side of the road filming some video. They had a tremendous number of responses. There are a lot of people who are breaking rules that are going to get caught, and that's a good thing. I'm all about holding people accountable. Logan says Nova Scotia can't happen because I've already promised that I'm going to Alberta, and I'm not wearing my hat. But he sent me a hat, and I took it home. But he did send me a QR code, and I got it. Everyone should scan this QR code because it's the most magical QR code in the world. I'll just hold this here for a second. That was courtesy of my friend Logan. And here's an off-topic question, but also from Logan. What does retirement look like for both of you? It looks like it's far away. It's what it looks like. Unless we've had a number of people in our office recently retire, and good for them. Congratulations for a well-deserved retirement. But I don't think retirement's. Well, I'm guesstimating you guys have to put up with me for about 10 years.
I can go in an awful lot sooner than that. I don't know if I will. My daughter is, well, unfortunately, very smart, which means her schooling is going to cost me a lot of money.
That's good.
So I may be around a little bit while I can't even talk.
Well, yeah.
I may be around a little longer so that I can afford to keep her in school.
That's reasonable. Can you get fined for running out of gas on the highway? I've been asked this a number of times, so there must be something up here. Running out of gas can happen. Is it poor planning? Could you have a breakdown? I've never heard of a charge for running out of gas. Parking on the side of the road on the King's Highway, I get.
Yeah, I saw something on social media post about that over in Germany, the Autobahn, you can be fined for running out of gas.
Well, you should know better, but things happen. And it does pose a significant risk on the Autobahn.
Absolutely. Stopped car even on the shoulder is a significant risk, and then people have to come and respond to it. And service persons, emergency vehicles, maybe if it's not all the way on the shoulder. Nah.
I got to say that they do a lot of things right there. The response to emergency vehicles, the way that everyone on the road just knows what to do and does it efficiently, like parting of the seas. If an emergency vehicle is coming, they've showed videos of it. It's amazing. Everyone pulls over and it is parting the seas, and the emergency vehicles can go straight through without even hesitation because everyone's on it. They have a very high level of training, or at least requirements of skill, before issuing a full license. And many European countries, like Ireland, I was talking to a chap who moved from Ontario to Ireland, and he's been there for 20 years. He doesn't even have a full license because the cost involved with getting that license is so high, and such a rigorous testing procedure that he just never did it.
Wow.
So interesting. And we complain here about bad driving, but we have possibly the easiest testing to get a license. Yeah. So it's interesting. What do we have here? Are traffic laws the same here in London as there in Toronto? It depends if you're talking about London, England, or London, Ontario. Because if it's London, Ontario, I can tell you that they're the same. London, England, well, there's the bylaws would be different.
Right. So we have traffic bylaws here as well that go along with the Highway Traffic Act. But London, England, oh no, that's a whole different
ball of wax.
Kettle of worms. Kettle of fish. Can of worms.
I got to come up with some stuff. I'm going there soon. I've driven internationally, and everywhere has minor differences and different regulatory things when it comes to equipment. The basics of driving are pretty much international.
Yeah,
that's why
it's common sense.
Yeah, don't hit stuff. Did you hear about the guy who rented a car? It was stolen, and the rental company charged him or gave him a bill for like $50,000.
Wow.
He was not covered because he said
he
no.
Declined
declined the extra coverage, and his personal insurance was not covering theft, only liability. Know your insurance.
Yeah.
My wife says I need coffee. I concur. My coffee was at 6:30 this morning, and I need a refill. I have a machine, so I'm going to make one right after the show. Anonymous person question. Let's go. Let's see. If I wait for left turn and emergency vehicle comes through, can I go through red light or should I wait for green? So this is a situation where you're in the intersection, I'm assuming, waiting to turn left. You don't move because an emergency vehicle is coming through and you don't want to be in their path and cause a collision, which is, I think, reasonable. You have an obligation to exit that intersection. So once they've crossed, you're stuck in the middle of the intersection. You have to clear it.
Yeah. So if you've entered the intersection lawfully, then you have the right of way to clear that intersection before the cross flow of traffic starts up there. But do it safely, because they may or may not be expecting you to be moving.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation. It's one that has considerable risk. Let's see here. Can I have a Class 7 driver's license from Alberta? No, I have. I have a Class 7 license from Alberta. How can I start driving in Ontario? I need you to tell me what a Class 7 license is. Is that a full license? Or is that a learner's? I don't know either. Somebody who knows, please tell us in the chat. But if that's a full license, then you'd be able to try. So let's just say, if it's equivalent to a G-Class license, then you'd be able to exchange it when you become a resident. If it's the equivalent of a learner's permit at G1, you cannot. In fact, a learner's permit is not transferable between provinces. You have to start again. If you had one that was a probationary, they would determine how much time you would have attributed to your probationary license. So a great thing to check with drivetest.ca. You may also want to check ontario.ca or the Linktree link to the whole driving in Canada thing that I have there. What do we have here? Stephen Robertson. Ooh. Can you park on the shoulder of a ramp? I would say no, legally. I don't think you can park on, well, first of all, you can't park on the highway. That's still the highway.
It is considered the highway. There may be signs prohibiting it. If you have to stop because of an emergency situation, a ramp is probably safer than doing it on the side of the highway.
So but that is not parking. That is having a disabled vehicle, and that's a different situation. You know, we talk about parking in the city of Toronto, and Aaron has confirmed this. If your vehicle breaks down, you don't get a parking ticket. But things you can do to identify yourself as someone who has broken down as opposed to someone who is parking, put your hood up. Stay with your vehicle. If you leave your vehicle, you're parking. You know, if you're waiting for emergency services to attend, that's a different story. Logan, thank you so much. Logan says a Class 7 is a G1, so if you've moved here with a G1 or a Class 7, you cannot transfer it. You'd have to apply again. There is no transfer. Sorry to tell you. And maybe I'll remember that a Class 7 is a G1 next time this is asked, but I probably won't. I don't know. For some reason, we're the only province that has G1 through G, and I cannot remember what everybody else does. I don't. It's not like it's new. I just can't remember.
You know what? We need a chart.
Charts would be good. Dad jokes are important. And the March 9th, well, let me just have a quick look here. Can I use my driver's license here? There. How are Class 7? Okay, let's see. What do we have here? Thank you for your response. So just to follow up with that question about clearing the intersection. So what if I'm not between intersection, but waiting for the light to turn green?
No, you can't.
You have to stay where you are.
Yeah, can't enter the intersection on the red at any time.
Canuck 2 wants to know if I believe that people have the right to contest their tickets. Well, I know they have the right to contest their tickets.
Absolutely, that's why it's there.
Yeah, that you have the opportunity to choose one of the options. One of the options is pay. Paying is the same as pleading guilty. You just make it efficient and move on with your day. Option 2 is to arrange for a what is it called? A meeting with the prosecutor. It's called early resolution. So you can choose to have a discussion with the prosecutor who may say, here's the case, here's what's going to happen. If you plead guilty today, I'll give you a reduced fine or a lesser offense. And if you choose to go to court, you still have that option to go to court. It doesn't preclude you from taking your trial. It's an added step to maybe get a deal. Or you can go straight to court. And if you go to court, you take your chance with the judge or JP. They may still offer you the deal that they offered in the previous. They may not. They may say we're having a trial. All of those things are options, and the outcome is really up to the courts, and in due part with you, based on your decisions.
And that's the options you get for a Part 1 ticket.
Yes.
So that's just a payable out of court ticket that you get. The other thing that you can force you to go to court, and you have to go to court, would be a Part 3 or a summons.
Yes.
So a court summons actually summons you to attend before court and stand up before a judge or justice, and then you'll have, you probably won't have your trial the very first time you stand up there, but you will get some direction on what's going on after that.
Now, a big thing to say about going to court, just because you go to court doesn't mean you win. It is a roll of the dice or a legitimate defense if you have one. Some people go to court and they waste taxpayer dollars. Truly, we have to pay for the government pays for the lights to be on, the people to be there, all of those things. And sometimes they're just trying to see if an officer is going to show up. And it's wrong, in my opinion. It's if you're guilty.
And I have seen a few times where it has backfired.
Yes.
So somebody gets a reduction in, say, a speeding fine or a warning on one ticket and an actual ticket on the other. Well, the officer goes in and gives the evidence, provides the evidence to the justice of the peace, and the justice of the peace, if he believes that evidence, can either increase the speed to the original, can bring back, find you guilty of both offenses, because the evidence before him shows that you did actually commit 2 offenses. So
sometimes it doesn't work.
Just consider that.
And sometimes we give people breaks to the side of the road and reduce their ticket from, let's say, 20 over to 15 over so they don't get points. And what happens? They go to court and they argue it. And then the judge or JP says, well, we see that was reduced. What was the original speed, officer? Oh, it was really 20? We're going to convict you at 20.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. Oh, see, there I was reading and not paying attention to you at all.
I got a question for you.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. What has 4 wheels and flies?
I don't know. They're flying cars? I don't know. What is it? What is it?
A garbage truck.
Flies. Last question, just because I have a question that deserves answering. 12-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids can sit at the front seat. Okay, it was a typo. Can a 12-year-old sit in the front seat? And the answer is legally, yes, absolutely. Do we suggest different? Yes, we do. Professionals like doctors and people who care about the lives of children suggest backseat till 14 is safest, but that doesn't mean it's illegal. The truth is airbags can be deadly, so we again suggest backseat till 14. But if you are 8 years old, there's no restriction at all, regardless of age, front seat or backseat. But there are restrictions for child safety restraints, and that's where I was going with that. You can't get out of a booster seat until you're 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9". And once you're out of it, doesn't mean, or just because you're legally eligible to be out of that booster seat, doesn't mean it's the safest thing. Jeremiah doesn't like that we're on TikTok. That's unfortunate. And we talked about this. Okay, I think we're good. What kind of bear is the most condescending? A panda. I'm here all week. We like our dad jokes.
Yes. What's brown and sticky, Sean?
I don't even want to know. What is brown? What is brown and sticky?
A stick.
I don't normally go to what is this? I don't normally go onto Twitter, but I saw something from Martin who asked me something in the feed. It's of our live stream, and we don't. I just happened to be looking at my phone today. A question he has: why does every press release about a car, pedestrian, or car-bike collision, if it's not a hit and run, obviously include the line about drivers staying on the scene and cooperating with police? This is required by law. Why mention it at all?
I totally agree with you. That is the worst thing ever that media agencies put out there. You're supposed to stay. You're supposed to remain.
Well,
you're supposed to cooperate with the police.
Yeah, I don't know. You make a very good point. Why is it said? But equally, I am thoroughly annoyed when the media says a fully armed officer. Like we're all armed. Well, if we're police officers, we're armed,
right?
Or we're not on the road. So saying fully armed officer makes absolutely no sense. There's a lot of things that are done that make no sense. So
no, I totally agree with you.
Cool.
If somebody was to be involved in a collision and flee from that,
that is relevant.
That is.
Yes. Yeah. But you hear when someone gets hurt or hit, and maybe this is why I'm stretching it here, but let's say they get hit, and they say, pedestrian struck, driver stayed on scene, and is cooperating with police. I get to breathe a sigh of relief. It's good. They did a stupid thing potentially, but they stayed. Maybe
not.
And it is important if there's a collision. There's other obligations incumbent on the driver, like to stay and make sure that they're,
Render assistance.
Render assistance, yeah. People take off, and it's not just fail to remain. There's additional charges that are quite serious. Okay. This is the last question. Really.
Yeah, right.
Roz wants to know, what if my husband takes my car without my knowledge on a G1 license? And that is a serious question, and it relates to something I was talking about on the agenda. And we have seen drivers who don't have a license, because the G1's a learner's permit; it's not a full license, driving without a supervising driver. So there's significant consequences. If they took the car without your knowledge, there's some criminal elements potentially if you're willing to lay the charge, because take vehicle without consent is a problem. It's a criminal problem. But if you gave them consent, now you are also eligible for charges under the Highway Traffic Act. But for them, there's a huge issue, and actually, if you're the owner of the car, is a huge issue, because if you don't allow charges to be laid criminally, you're not supporting the concept of take vehicle without consent, and there was a collision, your insurance company may very well say, we're not paying, because they're an unlicensed driver.
And in this situation where it's your husband, who should know better, they're part owner in the vehicle as well.
Yeah, it's a real problem, and if you were to simply, the collision is a big factor in that. When you consider the other things, they're going to get charged for drive vehicle without, unaccompanied. It's G1 driver drive unaccompanied, or I can't remember the wording now. I've all tongue-tied it. But they're going to get a 30-day suspension if it's their first time. They're going to get a 90-day suspension the second time. They're going to get kicked out of the program. Good luck getting insurance afterwards. Like, things are going to, don't drive unless you're properly licensed, period.
And you know what? If your husband's going to do that,
yeah.
What's
I'm not
your
so
relationship?
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm not so impressed. Putting you both in financial jeopardy, but putting you in things that are in your name, just not cool. Not cool, man. Husband, person. What is this?
All right, we're done.
We're done?
We're done.
I'm just reading this last question. What does it say?
I told you it wouldn't be the last one.
No, it's... Is lane splitting on a motorcycle in Ontario legal? I totally read, is spitting on a motorcycle in Ontario. Yeah. I need to go back to bed. Okay, so lane splitting is not legal in Ontario. It is absolutely not legal to lane split. That is where a motorcycle operator chooses to take their motorcycle and drive in between two lanes of traffic. Not legal. It's careless driving at the least. It could be dangerous driving. It could be stunt driving. It really depends on the observations and interpretation of the officer.
And it's super dangerous.
Yes.
In Ontario, we only have motorcycles on the road for a little over half the year. We're not, say, down south, California, places like that, where motorcycles are more prevalent. There's more of them out there. People are looking for them. So when someone comes up, not unexpected, especially on a smaller motorcycle that has a smaller footprint.
I often say, have you seen drivers? Do you want to put yourself between two drivers?
Yeah.
People who are on their cell phones distracted, people who are likely going to become in a collision situation anyway, but you're going to put yourself in the middle to get squished. I've seen terrible things.
Right or wrong, the motorcycle driver is going to get more hurt.
They lose.
Yep.
And I keep saying it's the last question, but this was just a discussion. It was a follow-up on something. And minimum wage 420 says you have the right to travel down the street and not be pulled over for an issue that a police officer thinks is a legit offense, but turns out not to be. That's a waste of tax dollars' time. And then, I disagree with you to some degree, because an officer who believes that an offense has taken place has a legitimate reason to do their job and enforce that. And if a judge or JP determines that you're not guilty, that is a separate situation. The offense is a legitimate offense. Their belief that you committed it, just because you get found not guilty in court, doesn't mean you weren't guilty. It means that through technicality or evidence quality or whatever took place in court, there was no conviction. Could be that the officer didn't couldn't go to court and testify, and you get off. Doesn't mean you're innocent, just means you weren't convicted. And then this is following up on the whole trial thing. That's where this discussion came. You have a right to a trial regardless if you personally, as an officer, think it's a waste tax. No, I said and confirmed that you do have a right to it. I'm just saying that
Absolutely.
you may
That's
not
why it's
win.
set up there.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. You have the right. But if you're doing it just to play a game and you are guilty, I think that people should just adult up and take responsibility for what they did. And the amount of tax dollar wasted for people who know they're guilty and just don't want to pay and play the system, I think is wrong. That's where I was going with my previous statement. If there was any confusion, you absolutely have the right to defend yourself in court if you believe you're innocent. But I think there should be a legitimate belief of innocence as opposed to I know I'm guilty, I just don't want to be held responsible for it. And that's a different situation. And that is the show, because I'm not reading anymore. Otherwise, I'll be here all day, and I have other things to do. And he says, thank you. I get your point. Thanks for your service. Thank you, thank you. I love it when we all come together and agree at the end, even if we agree sometimes to disagree. And my wife says, have a safe day, everybody. Now, I did cue this up already. I'm all ready with the song of songs. And here it is. This is the traffic song that is written and performed by our very own police officer in the CIP, and it's wonderful, and I love it. And here you go. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
If you had any questions that you didn't get answered, you are absolutely invited to come join us on Volley. Our Volley Space address, or the way to get to it, is to go to trafficcop.ca. You can join for free. You can send me video, voice, or text there. I try and answer in there all the time. Very often we have learned people inside having their own little chat and answering it. But yeah. Oh, Minimum Wage says release that song on Spotify. That's a great idea. I got to look into how to do that. And then if we can do that, we will do that. I think I already have it on our podcast. So if you go to Apple Music, you can actually play that song. It's one of our special episodes. Speaking of which, our podcast called TPS Traffic Jam will have a new episode on Sunday, because I'm editing it right now, and that's what I'm going to go do. So have a wonderful day. Stay safe. If you're driving, drive safe, drive sober. If you're parking, park legally. And if you're surfing, surf carefully. Have a great day.